Sports all place. 365, we making a place. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all place. Like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.
Well, good morning and welcome to the All Sports All Plays Network. We'd like to wish you a good morning. We know football is about to approach us, but here at the All Sports All Plays Network, we have something better than the football games. We have our final debate at round one. Now, this debate will be a three-man debate. One of the three of our top analysts here at the network. We promise you this is going to be one of the best debate that we've had so far. First off, we have two of the brothers of the network, and we have Nate the Great. So we have Ace, we have J-Mac, and Nate the Great. But before we go on, we need to introduce our judges. The first judge of the morning from Real Talk. His name is Chris Brown. Bring Chris Brown on the screen.
Yes.
What's up,
everybody? What's up, Freddie? How you doing? How's everybody doing, man? This is the triple threat. This match is going to determine some second round matchups, for the second round of debate. So I can't wait to watch these guys. You got the brothers, you got the underdog, and Nate the Great. Can't wait to see it.
Our next judge of the morning will be from Jock Talk, from the pregame show, Landon. Let's bring him on. What's up with Landon?
What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing? I'm excited. Triple threat. Set up everything for the second round. I'm excited.
Let's do it. Well, before we bring the brothers on, let's bring the guy that makes our shows happen. Let's bring the guy behind the scenes most time. The one and only Nate the Great.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm treating this like a game day, which explains why I'm wearing this shirt.
Yeah.
This is why this is the jersey that I wear for my baseball games whenever I play baseball.
Yeah.
Nate, I got to ask you a question. You coming on, you're facing two brothers, okay? So are you coming on, is there extra motivation for you not being a brother, for you being an outsider to take both of them down?
Yes, there is. There's definitely some motivation going on. This is my first debate since I didn't do it the last time. And I'm pretty excited to see how this turns out.
All right. Well, let's bring on the next guy. You see him on multiple shows. He called himself Ace from the West Coast. Let's bring him on. What's up with Ace?
What is going on, everybody? So, Nate, the first thing I want to throw out there is I really hope that – okay, so when you play – are you talking about you wear that jersey because you played baseball? Or are you saying that that's one of your favorite teams? Because if I recall, you said that you were a Rangers fan, right?
Yes, I root for the Rockies. That's their divisional opponent. I don't root for the Giants whatsoever.
Oh, man. I see that Giant shirt, and I'm like, what are you doing, brother?
I played baseball, third and shortstop.
Ace, I'm going to ask you the same question I'm going to ask J-Mac. You've known J-Mac your whole life. Okay? Y'all are brothers. Are you older than J-Mac or J-Mac older than you?
J-Mac is older than me.
Okay, so you're the little brother. Are you a little nervous taking on the little brother? I mean, this is not like y'all was at home, y'all was watching games and debating. You guys on the live.
No, I have been waiting for this. I'm not nervous at all going up against him. We've been waiting for this for so long. We have gone back and forth about debates numerous times in our lives. The only problem is we've never had judges to actually sit there and say who won our debates. This is the time to where we actually have judges who will say what brother is the better debater with these topics.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Come on. We got to get one. Come on. We gotta
All
go.
right. Well, let's bring out the last debater, the one and only J Mac. What's up with it, J Mac?
Oh, just cool, calm, collected, waiting to put in my dominance into the debate.
Now, J Mac, let me ask you a question. You're the older brother. When you go to a matchup like this, you know what I'm saying? I know where Ace is going to go with this question. I know what he's going to say. Do you use that as a little bit, a little bit on your side, or how are you going to approach this?
Well, sure, but he can do the same thing for me because he knows where I'm going to go with it, so it should be good.
All right. Well, Chris, Landon, I think they're ready. I think we're ready. Chris, go over the rules for the people one more time, and then we'll
Yes. So this is a special triple threat match. So how we're going to do this is 2 winners will be coming out of this. The judges, after each round, we're going to decide who won the round. Then at the end of all 5 rounds, whenever 2 debaters have the most points, we'll move on. Now each debater has a minute and 30 seconds to give their initial debate, then a minute for a rebuttal. Are you guys ready?
Oh yeah.
Nate the Great, you're going first. Okay, whenever you start talking, I will start the time. Whenever I put my finger up, that means you have 10 seconds left. Whenever I close my fist, that means your time is done, and I will say time is done.
Okay.
All right, Nate, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
All right. Question 1. Who is the best pitcher in Braves history?
I've been told ever since I started following sports, I've been told that it's so hard to compare eras because the game has changed in so many ways. Yet there's some records that have been broken in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s that still have not been broken since then. I'm going to give you an example with one. Actually, 12. Warren Spahn has 12 Atlanta Braves pictures, and the closest is Kid Nichols with 4. Warren Spahn has 356 wins, most by any Atlanta Braves pitcher. He has pitched 5,046 games, and he has faced 20,701 batters in MLB history. This dude has played for a long time, from the 40s all the way up to the 60s, early 60s, and he took a 3-year break because of war. How can it get much simpler than that? That's all I had to say.
All righty. Ace, do you need me to repeat the question? Hold on, you muted.
Oh.
Do you need me to repeat the question?
No, I do not need you to repeat the question.
Okay, when Chris will start, Landon will start. Chris will start the time whenever you start talking.
All right. So when you talk about the best Atlanta Braves pitcher in history, there's one guy that immediately comes to mind. And guess what? His name is Greg Maddux. How can you go any way else but Greg Maddux? And the reason why I'm saying how can you go anywhere else from Greg Maddux, how many Cy Young Awards has this guy won with the Atlanta Braves? That's right. He's won 4 Cy Young Awards with the Atlanta Braves. This dude on a consistent basis every single season. His ERAs have been in the 2, except how many times has he had the ERAs within the 1? That's right. He had 3 seasons to where his ERA was 1.76, 1.54, and not only that, but also 1.37. This dude had strikeouts after strikeouts after strikeouts. He barely walked anybody. Do you know how many times he went to a 3-2 count in his whole entire career? In his whole entire career, it is hard. Now, let me specify this. It is hard to keep away from a 3-2 count. But in his whole entire career, he has only gone to a 3-2 count for 50 batters. Imagine that. 50 times in his entire career, he's gone to a 3-2 count. Not only that, but this guy was a Gold Glove winner as a pitcher. This dude could do everything. This pitcher, Greg Maddux, was phenomenal.
Time.
J-Mac. We've heard Nate. We've heard Ace. It's your turn. Do you need me to repeat the question?
I do not need
Okay.
you to repeat the question.
All right. Whenever you're ready, you start talking. Chris will start the time.
Okay, well, even though that I can't disagree with Ace on the fact that Greg Maddux has 4 Cy Youngs and is a great pitcher, I don't think he has done some other things that one other pitcher has done that actually is an all-time favorite of mine, and that's John Smoltz. I mean, he's one of 2 pitchers all time to have over 200 career wins and 200 career saves. Think about that. He was a starter, then he went to being a closer, had 5 straight seasons of 40 or more saves, then went back to being a starter and won 60 more games as a starter after that. And he won a Cy Young in a season in which he won 24 games in a season. So, and the strikeout totals he did walk a few batters, but you're talking about a guy, all-time leader for the franchise as far as playoff wins, and just an all-around great pitcher. Again, 200 wins, 200 saves. Only 2 guys to ever do that, him and Dennis Eckersley. You went from a dominant starter to a dominant closer back to a dominant starter again. How can you go wrong with that pick? So John Smoltz, the greatest starter in Atlanta Braves history.
All right. I believe you still have a bit more time. Are you sure you're done? All right. All right, Nate the Great. You have an opportunity to do a rebuttal. Remember, the rebuttals are a minute long. As soon as you're ready, you start talking. You're muted, buddy.
Yeah, I have a reply to what J-Mac said. He's broken a few records. I'm going to give him that. But is those a couple of records? And same with to what Ace said. Are those a couple of records even near to those 12 records broken by Warren Spahn? And he's played in the 40s. He's played in the 40s, still owns the most MLB record, most Atlanta Braves records in the team's history. And the closest, and I'm saying this again, the closest is Nick Kid Nichols with 4 records broken in that team, for that team.
All right, is that it, Nate? Chris, you're muted. All right. So you good to go? All right, Ace. You heard Nate's rebuttal. You have the opportunity to give your rebuttal in now. So as soon as you're ready, go ahead.
All right, I'm ready to go. Okay, so Nate, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start out with you because what you helped me on with my debate is you're sitting there and saying how many seasons Warren Spahn pitched for, right? He pitched for 20 plus seasons as an Atlanta Brave, okay? How many seasons did Greg Maddux pitch for the Atlanta Braves? That's right, 10. So obviously Warren Spahn had a lot more seasons to rack up a lot more numbers than Greg Maddux ever did. Would Greg Maddux be on the same pace as Warren Spahn if he played for the Atlanta Braves his whole career? Absolutely. This guy did everything. And when you look at the earned run average as an Atlanta Braves pitcher, who is close to that top? That's right, Greg Maddux. And guess who's not even in the top 10? Oh, that's right, Warren Spahn. And J-Mac, same as you. You want to talk about how John Smoltz is so incredible as a starting pitcher? Guess what? Not even in the top 10 for ERA at all. And guess what? Win percentage, who's there? Greg Maddux. That's right. That's all I have to say. Greg Maddux, best Braves pitcher of all time.
Time.
Oh man, it's getting heated in here. J-Mac, are you ready for your rebuttal?
Yeah.
All right, as soon as you're ready.
Yes. So ERA isn't as big of a stat as everyone thinks it is because a quality start in Major League Baseball is considered 6 innings pitched with 3 runs given up. You realize that's an ERA of 4.5? And then how many quality starts does someone have? So a 4.5 ERA is considered a quality start. And if you go through the whole season that way, that means every one of your starts was a quality start. So ERA isn't as big as everyone thinks it is in Major League Baseball. However, neither is wins. But there's nothing like a guy that can go from being a starter back to a closer and dominantly close the game. It's the number one thing in the league. You have to have a bullpen that can close down a game. And when he did it 200 times in 5 seasons, that's incredible. Then you go back to being a starter again, and then you're still striking at guys. You're still winning games. Think about that. How many guys have done that? 2. 2 in the history of baseball have been able to do that. 2. We're not talking about the top 10. We're talking about the top 2 guys that have been able to do that all time, and he's one of them. Invaluable to the team. So stats don't matter in this case. It's who's more valuable to the team, and it's John Smith.
Gentlemen, they made it hard for the first round. I mean, man, y'all see at the end. We can't spoil it yet, but man,
You already spoiling it. You talking too much.
woo! Hey, Chris, it's not real talk, sir. This is the debate. We not.
I know. You can't tell them. You can't give them any sense of how we feeling. You got to be straight faced. Straight faced.
All right, Landon, it's on you.
Yep. All right. Besides quarterback, what is the most important position in football? Who we got going first?
Ace.
Ace. All right. When you talk, Chris Brown's got your time.
All right. So when it comes to positions in football, obviously everyone looks at the top position as quarterback. But here is a position that is often overlooked. And I'll tell you right now, that is your left tackle in football, your offensive line. The offensive line in football is so important to your quarterback. And that is because you have several people you can look at throughout the history of the NFL. For one, Chris Brown knows this guy really, really well, and his name goes by Carson Wentz. Everybody sits there and dogs on Carson Wentz saying he's not very good, he can't throw a football. Well, guess what? Look at his offensive line. His offensive line is complete trash. When you look at over the years, too, like Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, for several seasons, was sacked more than any other quarterback in the history of the NFL in several seasons by getting sacked 40-plus times every single year. Now, to have an offensive line, you have to have time to sit back in the pocket and pick the defense apart. You have to have that. If you don't have that, your quarterback is not going to have time in the pocket to throw, exactly like Carson Wentz did not have time to throw, like Aaron Rodgers used to not have time to throw. And then we can even go back as far as David Carr. If you remember, the first overall draft pick of the Houston Texans, sacked over 70-plus times a season. And everyone's like, oh, David Carr, he's a bust. Guess what? Sacked 70 times a season. He could not succeed because you have to have an offensive line to do anything in the NFL.
Time. Okay, J-Mac, it's on you. Do you need Landon to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
Landon, repeat the question, Landon.
All right. Besides the quarterback position, what is the most important position in football?
Okay.
Whenever you start talking, Chris, got your time.
All right. So besides quarterback, which it can be debated that that's the most important position, but besides that, defensive line, because if you don't have a defensive line, you can't stop the run of the other team. What's the point of having an offense if you're never on the field because the other team can run it down your throat the entire game and keep the ball and keep your offense off the field? Defensive line, especially defensive tackle. Think about an Aaron Donald. How much does that mean to that team? We saw that yesterday and how much that meant to that team not having a solid defensive tackle in the game and how well they were able to run against that defense. So defensive line is the most important position other than quarterback in the NFL for the reason of you have to be able to stop the other team. Because if you don't have someone and you can't, how many points are they going to score? You're not going to be able to catch up in the game. So defensive line is the most important position in the NFL other than quarterback.
Okay. Nate, do you need Landon? Do you need Landon to repeat the question, Nate?
No, I
Nope.
got it.
Okay, time starts whenever you start talking.
I'm going to argue and say that this position is actually more important than the quarterback. And I'm going to go with the center because if the center gives off a bad snap, then that drive doesn't matter. We saw in the Cleveland Browns game, the first play of the game was a bad snap and it led for a defensive touchdown. Same thing with the Super Bowl between Seahawks and Broncos. Bad snap led into another touchdown for Seattle. If you have a bad snap, it really doesn't matter, and defense will probably it will start leading to turnovers and eventually maybe a fumble recovery for a touchdown, or the opposing team can go in and get that score on that drive. That drive is dead over if that doesn't happen.
Still have some time left if you want to use it, Nate.
I'll save it for the rebuttal.
Okay. Ace, you heard everybody. You heard all the answers. You now have 1 minute for the rebuttal. Time starts whenever you start talking. Are you ready, my friend?
I'm ready. So Nate, let me start out with this. You go center, right? So basically, you're sitting there and you're helping my case because who's on the offensive line? That's right. The center is on the offensive line. And J-Mac, you're going with the defensive line, right? Okay, well, that's cute. And this is why I'm going to say that. I'm going to say this because if they have a big lead on the offense, right? So if they have a big lead, where was I going with that? I'm sorry, guys. So if they have a big lead on the offensive side and the defensive side has to stop that run from them to melting out the clock and they can't do it, guess what? I'm sorry, guys. I screwed that up. My bad. Just pass.
Okay. J-Mac, you heard Ace. You heard Nate's, original debate. You have 1 minute for a rebuttal. The time starts whenever you start talking.
Well, here's what I'll say. Ace started proving my point as far as the defensive line. You got to be able to stop them. You got to lead. Your defense needs to be able to stop them. Defensive line's going to be able to do that, or they're going to run the ball. And we've seen it time and time again. A team doesn't have a good run defense, and then they get torched for 200 yards, 4 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns, lose a championship game, lose a divisional round game when your big defensive tackle is not in the game. Defensive line is so important that it's not funny to me. And so that is where you have to build your defensive line to be able to have a competitive team in the NFL.
Okay. Nate, you heard everybody. You heard their debates. You heard their 2 rebuttals. Time starts whenever you start talking. You have 1 minute, my friend. Are you ready? You ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ace, how am I helping your case? Because you said left tackle and I said center. Last I checked, left tackles don't give off the snaps. J-Mac, you said defensive line. Defensive line does not give as much points as a quarterback, wide receiver, and all those kind of positions. And those, if they turn off and give bad plays, if the center gives a bad start, how can the quarterback, wide receiver, and all those guys that give scores, how does that help with if the center has those bad plays, how does that help?
You got 10 seconds left, Nate. You cool?
Yeah, I'm cool.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've got to the first two rounds. We're going to round 3. This one's going to Mr. J-Mac. Among the 4 major sports, what organization is the worst? Not the fans, just the organization. Okay? So whenever you're ready, start talking. Chris will start the clock.
Okay, which organization is the worst among the four major sports? That is the question, right? Just clarifying that. So here's what I'm going to tell you. A lot of people forget this, but it is actually the Detroit Lions. And I am not saying that because they're a division rival of the Green Bay Packers. I looked up this extensively. They have won one playoff game since 1958. One playoff game. Think about that. Since 1958, one playoff game. How is that good as an organization? How many wasted careers have you had? Barry Sanders, Calvin Johnson, you had Herman Moore, Brett Perriman, all these guys in the 90s. And then you had Matthew Stafford. You wasted his career by giving him nothing to work with. All the wasted careers in Detroit, and you've won one playoff game since 1958. You are the worst organization in American sports.
Are you good? Still have a little bit of time left. All right. Nate the Great. Or do you need to repeat the question? Or are you good? You muted.
Yeah, can you repeat it?
Yes. Among the four major sports, which sport has the worst organization of all time?
I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They have the worst win-loss differential in the NFL history. J-Mac, you've said the Detroit Lions, they even have, despite all those playoff, they haven't won that many playoff games, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a worse win-loss differential than the Detroit Lions do, of a .313 last I checked. Now that might have changed with the past couple of games, but still .313. And that's all I have to say.
All righty. Ace, do I need to repeat the question? You're unmuted. Unmute yourself. All right. Well, if not, whenever you go, Chris will go.
All right, nope, I got the question. I'm good to go. All right, so actually the worst organization to me of all time, and I'm going to actually go with Charlotte because it goes from the Charlotte Hornets to the Bobcats, and then not only did they go from the Bobcats, but they actually dropped the Bob at one point, and they were just called the Charlotte Cats. And this is why. When you look, they've been in existence for 28 years, okay? And the 28 years that they've been around, they have been to the playoffs 10 times. Now, it may seem like a lot, but the 10 times that they've been to those playoffs, they've won 4 series. 4. They've never won a division title. They've never been to the Eastern Conference Finals. They've never been there. Their best player in history on that team was Gerald Wallace. Now, don't forget though, that they even had a season to where they had a win percentage of .106. They had statistically the worst basketball season ever. They had 7 wins. 7. Now, it was interesting how, okay, I won't get to the rebuttal part yet. I'll wait on that. But the .106 win percentage of all time. Now, you can sit here and say that that was a shortened season because I understand it was. But this season, this team went on 2 losing streaks of 15-plus games. They had a 16-game losing streak and then a 23-game losing streak to end the season. By far the worst I have ever seen in my life.
Time.
Please, Tom, don't get Chris up here to singing. Please.
Man, you said it's not real talk, okay?
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Hush up.
J-Mac, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Do I need to repeat the question?
Nope, I got it.
All right, whenever you're ready.
Okay, so first off, I'm going to go against Nate. Nate, are you kidding me? Tampa Bay Buccaneers, yeah, they were horrible their first 2 years. They've been horrible. They won a Super Bowl. How many Hall of Famers do they have? Yeah, they have a few. Okay, so no, they're not worse than the Detroit Lions. And they've won some playoff games between now and then. And then Ace, I almost can't disagree with the Hornets, but their best player ever is probably Gerald Wallace. But again, look at the Detroit Lions. 1 playoff win since 1958. And They had Barry Sanders. They wasted his career. Matthew Stafford, they wasted his career. Calvin Johnson, they wasted his career. Look at all the careers that have been wasted in Detroit. And you can't say that for either one of the two franchises that you guys are debating here. So there really isn't another answer other than the Detroit Lions. They have been awful, terrible. One playoff win since 1958. Again, one. 1958, one playoff win.
Mr. Nate the Great, are you ready?
J-Mac, you said one playoff win since 1958, but you're forgetting about before that. That yes, they have 0 Super Bowl wins, but how many championships have they won? The 1958, they won a championship against the Cleveland Browns, and I think that was their four championships that they've won in that span. I know it's more than at least one. Now, Ace, you said Charlotte, and now Charlotte, you keep saying about how they've changed their name so many times and all this kind of stuff. And you brought up that one point where there were 7 wins that one season. Tampa Bay Buccaneers have like 4 in their first 4 years. And that's all I have to say.
Are you done? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Ace, are you ready for your rebuttal?
All right. So here's what I will say about this. When it comes to the rebuttal aspect of things, J-Mac, you want to look at Nate and tell him about the Buccaneers, and you start talking about Hall of Famers, and then you sit there and talk about Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnson, and then you want to talk about Matthew Stafford, how many times you've said that this is a completely underrated quarterback, that I'll tell you what, this guy is, in fact, on his way to potentially being a Hall of Famer. So how can you sit there and rag on Nate for Hall of Famers, okay? Because we all know that the Lions have had some in their time as an organization. And then Nate, when it comes to the 7-win season like I'm talking about, you're talking about NFL. They play less games. So, of course, the Buccaneers are going to have a better chance at winning under 7 games more times. The NBA plays 82 games. So, at that point, winning 7 games, that's crazy. How is that even compared to only winning less than 7 games?
Gotta love these debates because when you get rolling, time stops.
I know.
All right, Landon, you have a question for round 4.
All right. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Who is the most underrated wide receiver of all time? I think Nate's going to start this one. So when you start talking, Chris got the time.
I know that this guy is very, very well known, but I'm going to argue that this guy is better than Jerry Rice. Larry Fitzgerald. I'm going to go with him. He's played under the 2 best known quarterbacks that Larry Fitzgerald has played for is a Carson Palmer and Carson Palmer and one other person. And now he's played under guys like Brian St. Pierre. Other than the fact that he threw a touchdown pass against Larry Fitzgerald, I really don't know much about this dude. I don't think a lot of people do, to be honest. Brian St. Pierre. Kyler Murray threw him 4 touchdown passes. There's all of the guys that threw him a touchdown pass, he caught 58, and that's more than the guys that he caught with that are more well known. Now, you look at Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice caught most of his touchdown passes under 2 well-known quarterbacks. And that's all I have to say.
Okay.
Landon, who's next?
I think we got Ace, right? Ace next. Do you need me to repeat the question?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. All right. When you start talking, Chris, got your time.
All right. So to me, the most underrated wide receiver of all time is none other than Jimmy Smith from the Jacksonville Jaguars. And the reason why I say that this guy's completely underrated is because when people talk about one of the top receivers in the league, you never even hear Jimmy Smith's name. And here's why I'm going to tell you he's completely underrated. With his time in Jacksonville, you know that he is 11th on the all-time list in receiving yards at 12,287 yards. And this is playing for a Jacksonville Jaguars team that's not even known for quarterbacks. He was to 5 straight Pro Bowls from the years of 1997 to 2001. This guy only played 10 seasons. 10 seasons. Imagine what he would have done if he would have played longer. But I don't blame him for retiring because he played for the Jacksonville Jaguars and they didn't give anybody to throw him the ball. That is why this is so impressive of what he's done. In his career, he's also had 862 career receptions. That is 7th all time, to go along with 67 touchdowns. He has every single receiving records for the Jacksonville Jaguars that there is. That is why Jimmy Smith is completely underrated. Nobody right now, this is the first time that he's ever even been considered to be in the Hall of Fame. Is he going to get there? I don't know. And this will be a catastrophe if he does not get in the Hall of Fame.
Time.
All right, J-Mag, do you need me to repeat the question?
No.
Okay, whenever you start talking, Chris has got you.
Okay. So the most underrated wide receiver in NFL history for me is Sterling Sharp. Everyone still forgets about what this guy did. He played 7 years in the NFL, only 7 because he got his career cut short by an injury. And he had 595 catches in 7 seasons. He did have the record for a while for 18 touchdowns receptions in a season. And even his brother, Shannon Sharp, who as we know, is an all-time great tight end and in the Hall of Fame, at his Hall of Fame speech said, "I am the second best player in my family behind my brother Sterling," and you won't consider him for the NFL, for the Hall of Fame because of longevity in the NFL. He would have made every receiving record in NFL history if he would have played. I believe that as a fact. And he didn't get to because of his injury. And Sterling Sharp was a force to be reckoned with when he played. He was the most underrated receiver ever. By the way, he had the Green Bay Packer receiving record until it was broken by one Donald Driver, who now is the team's all-time leading receiver. So Sterling Sharp is the most underrated wide receiver in NFL history.
All right, so we got the 1 minute rebuttals now. Nate, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, whenever you start, Chris has got you.
Larry Fitzgerald, he threw most of his touchdown passes to guys with no name, a bunch of no-namers that haven't, I can't even name like a bunch of guys that he even threw to. I mean, yeah, I can, but that's not the point. And J-Mac, who has Sharp thrown it to? And same with you, Ace. Now, and we're going to talk about him with the Jerry Rice comparison. Jerry Rice caught touchdown passes from Joe Montana and Steve Young. And that was probably the greatest era from the San Francisco 49ers from NFL, period. And that's all.
All right, Ace, you ready?
All right, I'm ready. So, Nate, to go ahead and start off with you. Okay, when I talk about the most underrated receiver of all time, I'm telling you, they did not throw the passes. They caught them. So I'll go ahead and I'll start out with you. So when it comes to Larry Fitzgerald, we know that Larry Fitzgerald isn't underrated. We know he's going to be a Hall of Famer. So you can't even go with Larry Fitzgerald in that aspect. And yes, he had Kurt Warner for a while at quarterback. He had Carson Palmer for a while at quarterback. And then J-Mac, you're talking about Sterling Sharp. Okay, That's great. When did his numbers actually inflate? His numbers inflated when he had Brett Favre as his quarterback, which we know is one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever step on the field. When you look at Jimmy Smith, who was throwing Jimmy Smith the football? Oh, that's right. Mark Brunell and Byron Leftwich. Those were the two quarterbacks that Jimmy Smith had his entire career. Neither one of them are Hall of Famers. He didn't have any Hall of Fame quarterbacks throwing to him whatsoever. Larry Fitzgerald had at least one. Sterling Sharp had one. Jimmy Smith, a big fat goose egg.
J-Mac, you ready for your rebuttal?
Well, I'll tell you about Sterling Sharp. He actually started his career, and the year that he set the NFL record for receptions, his quarterback was and it was actually set records for the NFL for catches, and the 18 touchdowns came the year that Don Majkowski was also his quarterback. So he was great, yes, with Brett Favre. However, his numbers came a year before Brett Favre actually took over as the starter in Green Bay. So he did make great use of nothing at quarterback.
Okay. Now, gentlemen, this is question number 5 right here. Let me tell you something about question number 5. This is going to determine who moves on. I'll let you right now. I'll let you guys know right now. This debate has been amazing. It's honestly been amazing. So, man, y'all better bring it for this question number 5. Now, Ace, going with you. Who is the most overrated quarterback of all time? The time starts when you start talking. Ace, are you ready?
I, sir, am ready to go. So, when you talk about one of the most overrated quarterbacks of all time, and if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, you're going to probably hate this. And I'm going to tell you, one of the most overrated quarterbacks of all time is Troy Aikman. And here's why. People talk about how Troy Aikman was so great. Okay, Troy Aikman wasn't that great. He had a Hall of Fame offensive line. He had a Hall of Fame running back. He had a Hall of Fame receiver. He had an awesome defense. When you look at the playoffs, he even wasn't that good in the playoffs. Most of the time, it was Emmitt Smith that was doing everything. When you look at Troy Aikman's career numbers, he threw 165 touchdowns to 145 interceptions. When you look at his career completion percentage, the guy had a 60% completion percentage of all time. To me, does that speak Hall of Fame? Absolutely not. He had Emmitt Smith in the backfield that has the most rushing yards of all time. Michael Irvin, Hall of Famer at receiver. He even had a Hall of Fame offensive line, which has been arguably one of the greatest offensive lines ever. Without those, does Troy Aikman do anything? Probably not. Troy Aikman is a completely overrated quarterback. He's never been one of my favorite quarterbacks. I don't even think he belongs in the Hall of Fame. Without those guys, come on. Dallas doesn't do nothing.
Okay. J-Mac, do you need me to repeat the question? J-Mac. Okay, technical difficulties. Nate, you will be now going second. Do you need me to repeat the question, Nate?
No.
Okay.
No, I got this.
Time starts whenever you start talking. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Nate.
How about them Cowboys, who has not won a Super Bowl in 25 years? Who played for most of those 25 years at quarterback? Oh, yeah, Tony Romo. Tony Romo has not taken up this team to not even to a division conference round in 25 years. When you're talking about Tony Romo, you're talking about a guy who's been lived up to the hype of all of his fans from the Cowboys organization, all of the Cowboys fans. when he was at the point when he was close to retirement, there was rumors speculating around that he was going to get traded to Denver. And then he retired. Denver didn't want him because he saw how bad the Cowboys, Tony Romo's career has been. This dude gets hurt a whole lot. He was injured for most of his last year there, with only playing 4 games that year. And that's all. I'm gonna save the rest for the rebuttal.
Okay. J-Mac, are you with us, J-Mac?
Yes, sir. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Do you need me to repeat the question?
No, sir.
Okay. Time starts whenever you start talking.
Okay. The most overrated quarterback in NFL history is Joe Namath, Broadway Joe. Just let me explain this to you. This guy threw 148 career touchdown passes and 191 career interceptions. I don't know if anyone knows those numbers, but they're putrid for a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's in the Hall of Fame for 1 game when he guaranteed that the Jets were going to win Super Bowl III. The only reason he's even in the Hall of Fame, and that's what everyone remembers him for. But he was not a good quarterback. He was awful. Even in a time when quarterbacks weren't the premier position in the NFL, he was not a good quarterback. And that's all he's remembered for. And his numbers are awful, like I said. And you win 1 Super Bowl, which you guarantee to win. You play 1 good game, and that puts you in the Hall of Fame. Man, there'd be a lot of guys in the Hall of Fame, and then they wouldn't call it the Hall of Fame. They'd call it the Hall of 1 game. So he does not deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. The most overrated quarterback in NFL history is Broadway Joe Namath.
Wow. Guys, I'll be completely honest. Us judges. Now, you remember how this goes, you got 3 judges. You got 5 rounds. 2 of you guys will move on. Now, one of you guys already solidified your spot. So the other 2 are fighting to see who moves on. Now, you got to think, are you one of those guys? Or you got to think, are you fighting to move on? I'll tell you what. Y'all better bring it. Y'all better bring it. Ace, you have 1 minute to rebuttal, my friend. Sink or swim. Are you ready?
I am ready to go. Okay, Nate, so I'll go ahead and start out with you, and you talk about Tony Romo, right? Well, what is the difference with Tony Romo? When you look at statistically, Tony Romo's numbers of all time, his numbers were a lot greater than Troy Aikman was. Tony Romo threw 248 touchdowns to 117 interceptions. His completion percentage was 65%. 65%. And so how can he be underrated when he wasn't even playing with as good players as Troy Aikman was playing with? That's why he could not be underrated. I've always said that Tony Romo was actually better than Troy Aikman was. Now, J-Mac, you talk about Joe Namath in his 1 game, right? And his numbers. Can you name anybody that Joe Namath was playing with on that team? Probably not. For years, you probably could not say anybody that Joe Namath was playing with because he wasn't playing with really anybody around him. Aikman had Hall of Fame players around him. The whole team.
Oh, man. You gotta love it. Mr. Nate the Great. Sink or swim, my friend. Sink or swim. Are you ready?
Oh, yes. Yes, I am ready. Now, Ace, you bring up all these stats comparison between Tony Romo and Troy Aikman, but there is one other comparison that you might forgot to mention. At least Troy Aikman got the job done, winning the Super Bowl. Same with Joe Namath. He's won a couple of Super Bowls, as a matter of fact, for Troy Aikman. But Tony Romo couldn't even take this team to a divisional round game. You're talking about an overrated quarterback. Every year, the Cowboys fans always say, oh. They're acting like Mr. Santa Claus there and saying, oh, we're going to take this team all the way up to, they're going to the Super Bowl year after year, year after year, year after year. Even after Tony Romo was gone with Dak Prescott, Cowboys fans always have said that. Never happened.
Okay, J-Mac. You're the last rebuttal, my friend. Sink or swim. This could save you or hurt you. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So Nate, let me just ask you a question. What round was Tony Romo drafted in? Exactly, he wasn't. He was an undrafted quarterback. Troy Aikman was drafted first overall, and Joe Namath was drafted in the first round. So what does that tell you as to who should be better in those cases? It should have been Troy Aikman and Mr. One Broadway Joe Namath. However, Tony Romo was not drafted, so he wasn't expected to do anything. So what he did makes him not overrated, but underrated as a quarterback. And Joe Namath, again, that one game. One game is all he's remembered for. Did he play with anybody? No, but he won one game. He won one Super Bowl. That's it. One game is all he's remembered for. And his numbers do not add up to being Hall of Fame numbers. I'm not even sorry to say that because it's true. Those are not Hall of Fame numbers. There's a few guys in the Hall of Fame from back in the early era that shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame, and Joe Namath is one of them. So your point doesn't even matter on Tony Romo, Nate.
Time.
Oh. Man, this is hard. This is really like, yeah. I need to go on a 30-second break before we make this decision what we gonna do next, and because it's tough, man. Y'all brought the A game. Let's take a 30-second break. We're gonna let Chris announce it.
You announce it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Do I tell who won the first one?
I got it. You moving too slow. You moving too slow.
All right.
Now. This was the triple threat we wanted to see. Like I said, you had 5 questions. 2 of you guys will move on. Remember, I told you it was a way it could be a tiebreaker. And it came down to a tiebreaker. Now, the person that gets to move on is Mr. Underdog, Nate. Nate, you're moving on. So I just want to congratulate you.
This dude is happy.
I just want to congratulate you, Nate. You're moving on. So, J-Mac.
I totally did not expect that.
J-Mac, I'm going to move you. Ace, I'm going to move you up. I'm going to move me right here. Now, who's the older brother? Who's the younger brother again?
I'm the younger brother.
Okay, so older brother, you can decide. Do you want to go first or do you want to let the younger brother go first?
I can go first.
Okay, now you have 45 seconds. 45 seconds for the initial debate and 30 seconds for the rebuttal. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. So you two guys are Green Bay Packers fans. I'm understanding that. Freddie is a bandwagon, but I know you two guys are real Packers fans. So I'm going to ask you this. Who's the greatest quarterback all time in Green Bay Packer history? J-Mac, 45 seconds to you. Let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. Time starts when you start talking.
All right, so who's the greatest quarterback in Green Bay Packer history? Well, if you want to go championships, it's Bart Starr because he won more championships than anyone else. Now, you want to go pure numbers-wise, you can go with any numbers you want. You can go touchdowns, you can go yards, whatever. That's Brett Favre. Talent-wise, it's Aaron Rodgers, and there's no question. So I really can't pick one. I have to tell you it's between those 3, but you want to go purely off championships, it's Bart Starr. And I still think that everyone is trying to catch up to Bart Starr as far as those numbers go. So Bart Starr is the greatest quarterback in Green Bay Packer history.
Well, Chris, before you go, Ace reaction, he held his head down. Ace, I got to ask you a question. Have you and J-Mac had this debate before?
We have had this debate before, and I'll tell you because I know, and people probably will understand that, J-Mac is not. I'm not going to say he's not an Aaron Rodgers fan, but Aaron Rodgers isn't his guy. Like he's not his guy, and he never really has been his guy. And so he's always been on Brett Favre. Now, for me personally,
Are you
ready? You ready to start?
Oh no, sorry. I was answering Freddie's.
Don't mind Freddie. That was a ridiculous question. Okay, he's trying to throw you off track. Save your answers for your debate. Now let me know when you are ready, Mr. Ace. You have 45 seconds.
All right, go ahead and start it. So we talk about the greatest Packers quarterback to ever play. When I look at the greatest quarterback, the Packers quarterback to ever play, I have to personally go with Aaron Rodgers. And the reason why is because he has carried this franchise for several years. Ever since he started quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, he has carried this team. Never had a defense. His defense every year has given up 35 plus points averaging in the playoffs. So he never even has a chance to really win playoff games because he's got to score over 40 points every time. And the numbers that Aaron Rodgers has put up has been ridiculous. Over 400 touchdowns, less than 100 interceptions, 104 career passer rating. By far, to me, the greatest.
I'll let you say that last line. Go ahead and say it. Greatest quarterback Packer of all time.
Yes, the greatest quarterback Packer of all time.
Yeah, Freddie, you're muted, and that's a good thing. Okay.
That's a good thing.
Anyway, Mr. J Mac, you have 30 seconds for the sudden death rebuttal. 30 seconds. Big bro versus little bro. Again, with y'all favorite team in the bandwagon down there below. Mr. J Mac, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Time starts whenever you start talking.
Okay, let's not forget that Bart Starr played in a time when the quarterback was not the premier position in the NFL. And he carried that team to 2 championships pretty much on his back. He had a couple of good players, but no great players. No Hall of Famers played the same time as him. Yeah, he had Vince Lombardi as coach, but you can only coach what you're given on the field. Okay, so remember, Bart Starr played in a time when the quarterback was still considered a average position, not the premier position in the league. And he won two Super Bowls, 1 championships before that, won 4 championships total for Green Bay.
Time. Okay. Ace, you have 30 seconds for the rebuttal. You know how important this is. Time starts whenever you start talking. Are you ready?
All right. I am ready to go. Okay, J-Mac, he has won a few, but here's the reason why. He has won a few, and I'm talking about Bart Starr. Bart Starr has won a few because of his defense. When you look at Aaron Rodgers, he never even had that chance because he's never really had a defense. This is the first year that he's really had a defense. And then you talk about coaching. Yeah, Bart Starr had one of the GOATs of coaching in Vince Lombardi. Who has Rodgers had as a coach? He has had Mike McCarthy. Are you kidding me? He carried Mike McCarthy for several years. Mike McCarthy wouldn't even be relevant if it wasn't for Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers carried him.
Okay. Now we're going to take another 30-second break. Man, oh man, oh man. We'll be back in 30 seconds. That's all I have to say.
Ladies and gentlemen, man, this was a great debate. Honestly, this was honestly a great debate. I'm just gonna say this, Ace. No, J Mac, you was behind. Most of the debate, but you done made a comeback. Ace, man, you was knocking out punches. Nate, man, hey, I think everyone on the screen can agree that we love your energy. You brought it today. Like, you came out with a passion in you. You came out here with that fire in you. And hey, way to go. But there's only one more winner that's going to join Nate. Is he going to be the older brother in J-Mac, or is he going to be the younger brother? Through a total and the sudden death, 2 judges voted for one person, and 1 voted the other. J-Mac, you're moving to the 3rd round.
The 3rd round? You mean second?
Second round.
Second round. I'm sorry. To the 2nd round, my friend. You're moving on to face the next opponent. But, man, this was a close debate. Like, it wasn't close at all.
It was awesome. That was fantastic.
This was listen, we're going to, Nate, since, you were the unanimous guy to move on, you didn't have to go, to the sudden death. You got any words to say about your performance? Whoever you got to face the next round and your guys you face today?
Man, I was so nervous. I was so nervous. My first ever debate. I decided to take the last one off just to see how this really goes. The next round, I'm so excited to actually move on. Ace, J-Mac, both of you did a really, really good job. Yeah, that's all. That's all I have to say. I was so nervous.
Ace, you got anything to say?
No, and actually, you know what? In a way, I'm actually glad that these two are moving on, because I realize with my schedule and everything that this debate for me, this stuff's been really, really hard, because it's been hard for me to fit this in. As much as I've wanted to do it, I don't know if I'll be able to do these, because just with the way my schedule is and the shows that I'm on. But so I do want to say congrats, guys. It was a great debate, and I'm actually glad it ended like this.
J-Mac, any words?
Well, I want to thank Ace and Mr. Underdog for coming on today, making it a great debate, giving us your takes on everything. Ace, obviously, I'll see you a couple times a week on Sports Minute. And I really, really enjoy doing that show with you. Nate, can't thank you enough for all the producing stuff you do on the show, and judges. And thank you enough for being on here today and taking time out of your day as well.
I have a question. Do you now have bragging rights over Ace? Is there some bragging rights going on?
I mean, it is what it is. Sure, you can call it bragging rights if you want, but I've never been one to be a sore winner, as they call it, or brag about things. He still knows his sports. He's still a great debater. That has nothing to do with that. He just ran into the buzzsaw that was Nate today.
Yes. Well, we just, I think I can speak for the judges, and we say thank you, guys. Thank you for everybody in the audience watching this debate. Now, the brackets for round 2 will be posted on the Real Talk page on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, so you guys get to see who will be going against each other in round 2. There will be some rule changes, and it's going to be hot. Judges, thank you for joining me. Nate, J-Mac, congratulations. Ace, you did a great job. I want you guys to stick around, after we get off, so we're going to, tell you some things. But thank you, everybody. And to everybody watching, peace out.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you through the days.